Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today's story is a relaxing journey through a day in the life of a human living on Mars. We've crafted this hour-and-a-half long experience to help you unwind, imagine, and drift off. If you enjoy what we do, please consider leaving a like. It really helps us out and means a lot. Now sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy the story. You wake in a slim pod that cocoons you in gentle warmth. The air is filtered, carrying a faint metallic tang that feels strangely comforting. Above you, a soft orange glow pulses in gradual rhythm, simulating a sunrise you'll never see on Earth. Your pulse slows as you stretch out beneath the thin, insulated blanket. The pod's wall slides open with a barely audible hiss, and you step onto the padded floor. Your boots make no sound on the cushioned walkway as you stand. The pod area is narrow, barely wide enough to turn around. You tug on your loose-fitting jumpsuit, fabric woven to wick away moisture in low gravity, and wiggle your feet into the subtly weighted shoes that help you stay grounded here. Gravity on Mars is lighter, so even simple movements feel smooth and almost suspended. Stepping out into the corridor, you notice the walls are pale, almost white, with rounded edges to prevent accidental bumps in low gravity. Along the ceiling, soft lights trace the path forward, guiding you toward the living quarters. A gentle hum comes from ventilation ducts overhead, a constant reassurance that the life support system hums steadily. You inhale, tasting the filtered oxygen mingled with recycled moisture. Each breath is a reminder that you're hundreds of millions of kilometers from Earth, yet alive and safe in this engineered bubble. You pad down the hallway toward the communal area, passing closed doors labelled only with symbols, each representing a purpose: storage, medical, recreation. No names adorn any door, this place is communal. Outside one doorway you hear a muffled click and see a silhouette moving behind a frosted panel. A shadow presses its hand against the glass briefly, and then the door slides open just enough for a head to peer out. The face is obscured by a reflective helmet visor, so you only see movement and half wave. There are no greetings, maybe a nod or a brief motion of the hand, because your ears are still waking up. You continue on, following the corridor as it curves gently. A large circular hatch stands before you, labelled by a simple icon indicating living quarters. The hatch unlocks at your approach, folding inward to reveal a wider communal hallway. Here, storage lockers line the walls, small compartments holding personal items, spare socks, hygiene kits. A few charging stations for tablets and wrist displays sit between lockers, each screen flickering with system status updates, oxygen levels, pressurization, weather forecast for the exterior rover missions. Ahead, a set of reinforced windows reveal the red-brown landscape outside. It looks like jagged, rusted rock under a pale sky. Mars at dawn. In the distance, the colony's lower modules peer up at you, connected by translucent tunnels that glint as light filters in. Dust swirls faintly in the thin atmosphere. No clouds drift above. The horizon is a harsh line of gritty plains stretching toward distant bluffs. Still, the view has a soft hush to it, like a silent painting. You pause and rest your hand on the cool glass. Your breath fogs up the pain briefly, and you watch your exhale drift away. In the low gravity, a single droplet of condensation clings to the inside before sliding down, leaving a tiny shimmering trail. A small maintenance drone glides past the window outside, its sparse thrusters correcting its course in jerky yet precise motions. You observe it until it disappears behind one of the domed greenhouses further off, where hydroponic plants cluster beneath blue grow lights. Turning away, you step into a small alcove. There, a recessed panel slides open to reveal your personal storage locker. Inside, a disinfecting wipe, a toothbrush with soft bristles designed for low-water use, and a collapsible cup wait for you. You take the wipe and gently trace it along your mouth and cheeks, the coolness awakening your senses. Then you grab the toothbrush, brush slowly, and fill the cup at the nearby hydration station with filtered water that's warmed to a comfortable temperature. You sip contemplatively, tasting the faint sweetness added to mask the recycled feel. Your stomach grumbles softly. Even though your meals on Mars are scientifically engineered for nutrients, waking always reminds you how much you miss fresh bread or real coffee. Soon, though, you will join others for the communal meal. They'll gather beneath those same windows you just admired. But for now, you take one more careful look at yourself in the small reflective panel attached to the locker door. Hair slightly tousled, skin a little pale, eyes bright with anticipation. You smooth back a stray lock of hair, tighten the suit zipper, and step out into the hallway once more. The corridor light dims briefly, then brightens in sections as you walk, marking your path toward the central dome. Ahead, the living quarters lead into a broader amphitheatre-like space, where people start to trickle in, still rubbing sleep from their eyes. The gentle chorus of steps and muted mechanical whirs create a calm soundtrack to your morning. You keep your pace slow, mindful of the lighter gravity beneath your feet. As you approach the main hatch to the dining area, you pause and glance up through several small portholes. The mesh of tunnels and modules stacked above you looks complex, almost like a living organism, each part feeding oxygen and energy to the next. A distant light switches on in the greenhouse section, and the blue glow reflects through one of the tunnel windows, painting everything with subtle sapphire hues. You step through the hatch into the commons, a broad, softly illuminated chamber shaped like a shallow dome. Ahead, long curved tables arc around a central serving station. The walls here are tinted a gentle terracotta, echoing the colour of the Martian soil just beyond the windows. As you enter, the mingled aromas of rehydrated grains, protein blends, and a faint hint of synthetic berry paste wrap around you. A daily reminder that, even here, food must be carefully engineered for maximum nutrition with minimal waste. You move toward the serving line, your boots thudding quietly on the flat, padded floor. Low gravity means you float a little if you step too briskly, so you keep each stride measured. At the front of the line, a mechanical dispenser hums as it releases Oat Hatch, a thick, warm porridge synthesized from oats grown in the hydroponic domes. You hold out your bowl as the viscous oatmeal pours in, steam rising in thin, ghostly tendrils. Next, you add a scoop of powdered protein blend, stirring until it dissolves into a silky, slightly sweet mixture. A small packet of vitamin concentrate drifts into your hand. You tear it open, pour the bright orange powder over the porridge, and stir again. The final touch, a piping warm cup of coffee substitute, a bitter brew created from roasted Martian tuber extract, and a drop of flavour enhancer to mimic the taste of Earth's morning coffee. You cradle the cup, savouring the warmth. Finding a seat, you glide over to a curved bench that hugs one side of a long circular table. Others are already seated, figures hunched over their bowls, some stirring slowly, others sipping their drinks as they glance through the broad windows. Silence is rare here. Instead, a low hum of conversation fills the space, softer voices exchanging news of yesterday's tasks, discussing the status of the greenhouse crops, or noting that tomorrow's weather forecast predicts a mild dust storm approaching the northern ridge. You settle into your bench, mindful of how your body feels lighter than on Earth. Your feet barely press into the floor, and you tuck them underneath the bench to keep from drifting. The table's surface has embedded magnetic strips to hold utensils in place. As you pull out a spoon, lightweight aluminum alloy with a slightly curved handle, it snaps into your hand playfully, guided by magnets that ensure it won't float away if you let go. The spoon feels cool, almost silky, as you scoop up the oatmeal. As you eat, you take in the view beyond the clear dome-like windows. The settlement's outer modules peek through a thin haze of red dust that still lingers from last night's clearing. In the distance, the rising sun of Mars glows pale white, barely brighter than the dusty horizon. Shadows stretch long and soft across the ridges. The dust stalls at the outermost barrier, forming faint ripples in the low wind. It looks like an enormous desert painted in muted reds and browns. But here, within the protective barrier, you feel safe and warm. Nearby, a group of 3 people sit close together, leaning in to speak quietly. You hear snippets. Protein levels are nominal. Need to resequence the algae. Pretty sure the new LED bulbs arrived. The words are familiar. Life on Mars revolves around resource management and maintenance. No idle gossip, only discussions that matter to survival and comfort. Midway through your meal, a gentle chime sounds from the serving station, a reminder that final trays must be cleared away in 5 minutes. A few people stand, gather their bowls and trays, and move down to the dish return station. The station is a simple slit in the counter where used utensils and containers are placed. A hidden mechanism washes and sterilizes everything before sending items back to storage. The process is nearly silent except for a subdued whoosh as trays disappear behind the panel. You swallow the last spoonful of oatmeal and take a final sip of your coffee substitute. The taste is earthy, a reminder that Mars-grown tubers replace coffee beans. It lacks the sharp punch of earth coffee, but the warmth spreads through your chest. You stand, place your bowl and cup into the return slot, and hear them hiss back into the cleaning cycle. Around you, chairs squeak as people rise, a slow shuffle of feet moving to the next task. Before stepping away, you notice a low hum from the overhead speakers, a brief morning announcement about incoming rover departures and greenhouse oxygen output. There is no melody or jingle, just clear, practical information spoken by a calm, synthetic voice. You listen. The weather station on the North Ridge reports clear skies for the next 6 sols, Martian days, but airborne dust might increase tomorrow evening. The announcer reminds everyone to check their suits and ensure external sensors remain operational. Leaving the commons, you pause by the window one last time. A small maintenance rover trundles across the rocky plain, its headlights piercing the dim light. Its occupants, 2 figures in full suits, gestures toward a sample of red soil they've collected. Behind them, the habitat modules stand like domed mushrooms on the dusty field. The quiet interplay of humans and machines on this alien terrain feels almost peaceful. Ahead lies the corridor that leads deeper into the heart of the colony. You can feel the cool metal of the handrail along the wall as you slide your fingers across it for balance. Your next destination, a leisurely walk through the living quarters, a chance to see the hydroponic plants, personal storage lockers, and the art that residents stick to the walls to remind themselves of home. The corridor lights dim and brighten as you approach, guiding you forward toward new sights and small comforts against this vast, silent planet. As you push open the hatch beyond the commons, the corridor lights shift to a soft green hue, and a faint scent of damp soil and chlorophyll drifts from vents in the ceiling. The soft hum of hydroponic water pumps begins to mix with the residual chatter from breakfast, but here the mood is calmer, an invitation to explore the living quarters. You step forward, boots clicking quietly on the padded walkway. The walls curve gently inward, painted in a pale, neutral shade that brightens under the diffused glow of overhead LEDs. To your left, a series of identical personal lockers stand flush against the wall. Each locker door bears a small icon someone has taped, a simple sketch of rolling hills, a faded photo of a distant ocean, a childlike drawing of a kite. These tokens of Earth provide colour and warmth to an otherwise utilitarian space, reminding you and others why you endure the miles of red dust and thin air. Gliding past the lockers, you feel the low Martian gravity sway your step if you move too quickly. You keep your pace measured, sliding a hand along the cool metal railing that runs along the wall for stability. A few lockers open as residents retrieve personal items. A compact tablet, a soft fabric mask for resting eyes, a favourite insulated mug. No names are spoken, only brief nods or quick waves behind reflective helmet visors. Here, anonymity is normal. Everyone is part of a collective effort. Rounding a corner, you come upon a wide, transparent panel stretched along the right side of the corridor. Beyond the glass lies the hydroponic garden, neat rows of spinach, lettuce, and experimental tubers, all bathed in a gentle bluish light from overhead LEDs. Water pulses through clear tubes, feeding the roots suspended just above the shallow nutrient solution. You watch as a resident kneels to inspect a leaf for signs of mould, breathing carefully so as not to disturb the air pressure. The stillness here is soothing, green life thriving under Martian skies. Continuing, you pass a small exercise nook built into a recessed alcove. 2 figures move slowly in low gravity. One uses elastic resistance bands affixed to the wall, their legs extended gently before contracting. The other performs slow squats while suspended in a harness, each motion elongating their limbs upward. The quiet creak of fabric and soft exhalations are the only sounds. You remember that maintaining muscle tone and bone density is vital on Mars. Without regular exercise, your body would weaken too quickly. A few steps later, the corridor opens to a semicircular relaxation nook. A moulded polymer bench hugs a shallow basin of biofiltered water, warmed and scented with a faint lavender substitute. Above, a holographic projector casts rolling meadows and distant mountains, an illusion of Earth made for comfort. You slow your pace, pausing to rest a hand on the bench's edge. The gentle trickle of water and the sight of sprawling green hills distract you from the barren red world just beyond the colony's walls for a moment, offering a brief reprieve. After breathing in the calm, you slide your hand back along the railing and move on. The corridor narrows into a side passage marked by soft yellow lights. Private sleeping pods lie behind closed doors here. You don't venture inside. Instead, you notice the subtle hiss of fresh air entering through vents above each pod, a reminder that life support works tirelessly while you sleep. Taking a mental note to check your own pod's filter later, you continue down the main path. Ahead, the walls transition to a pale green tone, signalling that you're nearing the nexus between living and working areas. In these panels, corrugated indentations conceal pipes carrying recycled water and oxygen. Small touchscreens embedded in the wall display current statistics: greenhouse oxygen output at 85%, water reserves at 60%, and a gentle reminder that midday maintenance will begin in 20 minutes. You glance briefly and then shift your gaze to the larger hatch ahead. A simple leaf and dome icon marks the entry to the green dome. You push open the hatch and immediately feel a change. The air grows warmer and more humid, scented with earthy notes of damp soil. Rows upon rows of verdant plants stretch out under bright grow lights, and the steady hum of air circulation mingles with the soft gurgle of nutrient channels. As you step in, you know your shift here begins, monitoring algae tanks, adjusting nutrient flows, and ensuring every leaf receives enough light for photosynthesis. Your boots make barely a sound on the slightly damp grated flooring. As you walk deeper into the chamber, you feel a subtle shift in temperature and humidity compared to the corridor. The air here is thick enough that you can taste faint mineral notes mingled with a hint of chlorine from the sterilizing system, keeping algae cultures pure. Tiny droplets of condensation bead on the underside of the clear ceiling panels and slowly slide down, dripping into shallow troughs designed to recycle excess moisture. Ahead, the dome stretches wide. Rows of hydroponic trays ripple out on either side like terraced fields, each rack stocked with different crops: crisp lettuce heads, delicate spinach leaves, and experimental tubers chosen for their rapid growth under low-pressure conditions. Closer to the entrance, you see large cylindrical algae tanks, transparent cylinders that glow pale green as colonies of microalgae swirl inside. These tanks are vital. Their oxygen output supports the colony's life support system, and their biomass is harvested regularly for protein. You move toward the first workstation, a stainless steel bench covered with layers of scientific equipment, digital pH meters, pipettes, sample vials, and a small infrared sensor for checking leaf temperature. Your hands reach out to the control panel on the bench's edge, where a touchscreen displays real-time data: nutrient concentration levels at 1.2 parts per thousand, pH at 5.8, and algae optical density at 0.75. A small icon blinks, indicating that the nutrient flow to tray number 17 needs a slight adjustment. You tap the screen, scroll through the nutrient mix settings, and increase the nitrogen ratio by 2%. Instantly, the tubes beneath the tray glint as valves shift, and the nutrient solution deepens in colour. A few feet away, another resident kneels beside a tray of lettuce, fingertips brushing a leaf to check for any sign of mould or discoloration. You kneel beside them, gently lifting a leaf to examine its underside. The surface is smooth, vibrant, with veins branching out like delicate rivers. No browning is present. You nod, and the resident offers a quick thumbs up before carefully positioning the leaf back into place. There is no conversation, only shared focus. In this environment, efficiency and silence are comforting. Moving on, you approach the algae tanks. Each cylinder is about 2 meters tall and a meter wide, filled with a swirling suspension of emerald green algae. Gentle bubbles rise from the bottom as aerators pump carbon dioxide into the culture. You reach out to the sampling port, a small spigot halfway up the tank, and affix a sterilised syringe. Drawing out a few millilitres, you place the sample into a small vial, label it with the current sol number and time, then set it into the handheld spectrophotometer. The device hums for a moment, then displays a reading. Optical density nominal at 0.78, slightly higher than desired but within acceptable range. You flip open the lid of the nearest algae feeder tank and adjust the flow rate to reduce nutrient input by 5%. The algae will slow its growth slightly, keeping the culture stable. Beside the tanks, you glance up through the clear dome to catch a glimpse of Martian sky. The faint pinkish haze of midday filters through. From this vantage point, the colony's outer domes and solar arrays appear like meticulous geometric patterns etched on the planet's surface. A maintenance drone hovers momentarily above one of the solar panels, its lights blinking as it inspects for dust buildup. Then it drifts away silently. Returning your attention to the vegetable racks, you slide a wheeled cart along the aisle. On its shelves, small nutrient reservoirs, spare tubing, and replacement filters wait for use. Pausing at the next rack, you place a small wireless sensor onto the edge of a shallow tray. The sensor, roughly the size of your palm, begins transmitting data on humidity, temperature and CO2 levels back to the central control computer. You monitor the readings. Humidity at 78%, temperature 22 degrees Celsius, CO2 at 800 parts per million, all within optimal ranges for leafy greens. Nearby, a gentle rustling sound comes from the leaves brushing together as a soft draft from the ventilation system passes over them. A few steps later, you approach a cluster of flowering plants used for experimental pollination studies. The petals are a muted violet, strange, alien in their perfection. Carefully, you adjust a small LED lamp, angling it to ensure each flower receives even illumination. Pollination here is manual. A long fine brush is used to transfer pollen from one bloom to another, mimicking the insects that can't exist outside Earth's biosphere. You gently dip the brush into a pollen-laden flower and move it to the next. The powdered dust clings to the bristles, and you finish each motion with steady precision. Life in the green dome feels almost serene. The low murmur of air circulation, the soft drip of water, and the gentle whir of automated systems create a meditative atmosphere. You move past a bank of touchscreen monitors where another resident reviews growth charts, yield projections, expected harvest dates, and nutrient consumption rates. As you pass, you see that the chart for tomato vines, an experimental variety, shows healthy upward growth but slightly delayed fruit set. You make a mental note to adjust lighting cycles after lunch to encourage earlier flowering. Glancing around, you notice a small cluster of people gathered near a packing station. Here, harvested produce is washed in UV-treated water, dried, and placed into sealed compartments for storage. A gentle steam rises from the washers, and the smell of chlorinated water lingers faintly. You step over and pick up a ripe head of lettuce, brushing a soft cloth over its outer leaves. The texture is crisp, cool under your fingers. You place it gently in a climate-controlled bin on the cart, this one destined for tonight's dinner. Time flows differently here. You look at your wrist display. The clock reads 10:45. You've been in the dome for nearly 2 hours. Your next break is in 15 minutes. But before you can step away, the overhead speakers emit a soft chime. A calm, synthetic voice announces, "Attention! Algae Tank 4 requires cleaning in 5 minutes. All hands please prepare sterilisation equipment. Greenhouse shuttle departure for nutrient resupply is scheduled in 13 minutes. You finish calibrating the final nutrient valve, then glide, carefully in low gravity, toward the small storage nook where supplies are kept. There, you grab a pair of sterilised gloves and a lightweight face mask. The algae tank cleaning process is delicate. You'll need to drain half of the culture, sterilise the spray nozzles, and then refill with fresh medium. Moving efficiently, you work alongside 2 other residents in near silence, each step practiced and deliberate. The hiss of drain valves opening, the whoosh of nutrient solution flowing, and the tap-tap of gloved hands become your soundtrack. Soon the algae tank stands gleaming, full once more, its contents whirling with promise. You give a final check on its optical density reading, 0.50, perfect for the next growth cycle. A small smile tugs at your lips. Even after months in this environment, you still feel satisfaction when a system responds precisely to your adjustments. With the tank cleaned, you remove and dispose of your gloves, then step back into the main aisle. You glance down at the rows of leafy greens, then up at the bright LEDs. A subtle pulse of sunlight from the Martian sky filters through the translucent dome above, blending with the blue grow lights in a faint otherworldly glow. The plants seem almost to shimmer in this mixed light, a testament to life thriving against every odd. Moving toward the exit hatch, you notice the gentle hum of the ventilation system shift as you cross the threshold back into the corridor. The air feels cooler and drier again. You take one last look at the green dome's interior. The neat rows of plants, the blinking sensors, the algae tanks gently churning. Then you push open the door and step into the narrow hallway that leads to the solarium. As you close the hatch behind you, the corridor's sterile stillness greets you. Ahead, a doorway marked by a simple sun icon opens to the solarium. You push through and immediately feel the contrast. Warm, filtered light bathes you, and a gentle hum of humidified air eases any lingering tension from your shift in the green dome. The solarium is a circular chamber topped by a translucent dome, its material diffusing the bright Martian light into a soft, gold-tinged glow. You step onto the lightly cushioned floor, each footfall muffled. The air here is slightly warmer than the corridor, around 24 degrees Celsius, and carries a hint of sandalwood, a synthetic fragrance added to calm nerves. Along the curved walls, low benches of smooth, pale composite follow the arc of the dome. You glide toward one bench, easing yourself onto the broad surface. As you sit, the bench feels pleasantly warm under your legs. Above, the dome shows a pale Martian sky streaked with thin, dusty wisps. You look upward and notice a tiny blotch passing overhead. Phobos drifting between the sun and you. Its movement is slow and subtle, almost serene. The sky beyond is not the deep black of Earth's space. Instead, it's a muted orange that brightens toward the horizon. You watch for a moment as the sun shifts, casting a soft, angled light across the domed ceiling, creating patterns of light and shadow that ripple over the benches and floor. Around you, other residents settle in small groups or alone. Some recline fully, stretching out their legs and leaning back against the curved bench. A few close their eyes, while others gaze upward without speaking. The hush here is restful. Voices are reduced to gentle murmurs. You close your eyes for an instant, breathing in the sandalwood-scented air and feeling the warmth seep into your muscles. For a moment, you recall Earth mornings in your parents' garden. Dew on grass, birdsong, and sunlight filtering through leaves. Here, the synthetic sandalwood and the Martian light are a faint echo of that memory. You let your breathing settle into a slow rhythm. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Each breath fills your lungs with a comforting warmth, and the low hum of the life support systems lulls you deeper into relaxation. After a few minutes, you open your eyes and turn your gaze back to the outside world. Through the lower section of the dome, you see the colony's outer wall, a tall ribbed structure designed to hold off dust storms. Beyond, the red plains stretch toward distant ridges, their edges softened by a light haze. The ground appears smooth, save for scattered rocks and small dunes etched by wind. You can make out the faint glint of solar panels arrayed in neat rows, feeding energy into the colony's grid. Closer to the wall, a small group of solar-powered rovers sits idle, their tyres dusted in fine red powder. On the floor beside you, a small table holds a container of warm herbal tea, mint and rosemary blend created to soothe and aid digestion. You lift the mug, feeling its heat seep into your palms. The tea tastes faintly sweet with a sharp herbal finish. As you sip, you let the warmth spread through your chest, reminding you that even a simple drink can feel indulgent here. A soft light panel at the base of the dome support beam cycles through ambient colour shifts over time. Now it glows pale green, then transitions to a muted amber. These shifting hues are programmed to mimic Earth's diurnal cycle, helping residents' circadian rhythms adjust despite the 24.6-hour Martian sol. The gradual change soothes your eyes. You lean back, letting the bench cradle you as you watch the colours morph. Nearby, someone exhales and shifts on their bench. You hear the faint click of a datapad as it powers on. They scroll quietly through maintenance logs or perhaps personal messages from Earth. The soft hum of the datapad screen is a gentle contrast to the dome's ambient hum. You remain still, watching their silhouette against the glowing dome. The scent of damp earth returns to your senses as the humidifiers cycle on for a brief moment. You breathe it in, imagining roots stretching deep, anchoring a forest floor. Around the dome's edge, pockets of potted plants, herbs and small flowering specimens sit in low-rise troughs. Their leaves are glossy under the filtered light, and you can see tiny droplets of moisture on them. A lavender plant in one corner releases a faint floral scent that mingles with the sandalwood. You lift your mug again and bring it closer, breathing in the combined fragrances, herbal, floral and synthetic wood. As you gaze through the dome, your eyes trace the horizon where the red plain meets a jagged ridge. A slight breeze ripples through the air outside, carrying particles of dust that shimmer in the sunlight. You recall that a minor dust storm is predicted to reach the plateau by late afternoon. In a few hours, the sky will dim as dust fills the air, and everyone will need to secure external sensors and ensure airlocks are sealed. But for now, the promise of that storm feels distant, more a background thought than an immediate concern. You close your eyes again and focus on the sensation of the bench beneath you. The gentle warmth, the faint vibrations from the ventilation system, and the muted colours above help you drift into a state of calm reflection. You think about how far you have come, travelling across hundreds of millions of kilometres to this colony, trading lush forests for hydroponic greenhouses, and exchanging open skies for protective domes. Yet, as you sit here, you feel a sense of belonging. Each breath, each sip of tea, each ray of filtered light is a reminder. Life endures even on a barren world. After a few more minutes, you sense a shift in the dome's atmosphere. The light panel's hue transitions to a subtle pink, signalling that your break is almost over. You stretch your limbs, rolling your shoulders and flexing your fingers. As you rise from the bench, you feel the gentle tug of Martian gravity beneath your feet, lighter than Earth, but firm enough to ground you. You take a final glance upward. The dome's translucent panels now glow a soft rosy hue as the Martian sun continues its arc. You walk toward the exit hatch marked with a simple cross and a medical symbol. This leads to the health module, where routine checkups keep everyone in optimal condition. Your pace is unhurried, savouring the last moments of warmth and reflection. A faint chirp from your wrist display reminds you of your appointment in 10 minutes. You adjust your steps accordingly, sliding a hand along the cool metal railing that lines the hallway outside the solarium. As you step through the hatch, warmth gives way to a slightly cooler, drier corridor. The faint antiseptic scent from the health module drifts toward you. Ahead, a clean, bright hallway stretches to the left and right, but you turn toward the sign reading Health Check. With each step, the echoes of the solarium's calm recede, and the crisp efficiency of the medical area comes into focus. As you step through the door marked Health Module, the clean antiseptic air greets you. Bright white lights overhead bathe the corridor in a clinical glow. The faint hum of diagnostic machines drifts through the room beyond, accompanied by the soft tick of a wall-mounted clock marking each passing second of your appointment time. You enter the module and pause briefly in the vestibule. The floor is a pale grey composite that feels firm under your boots, grounding you despite the low Martian gravity. A small automatic sanitizer dispenser glides open at your approach, releasing a mist of disinfectant that warms your palms as you wave them through. You rub them together until the cool liquid evaporates and a faint scent of citrus lingers on your skin, an artificial fragrance added to reassure and soothe. Ahead, a sleek examination chair sits beneath an array of overhead scanners. The chair's upholstery is a muted blue, chosen to calm the nerves, and moulded to your body so that as you settle in, you feel supported. You slide yourself onto the seat, and it adjusts automatically, rising slightly to align your spine and locking your feet onto a low platform. A thin, flexible strap fastens across your waist to prevent you from drifting upward during low-gravity assessments. A soft chime announces the medic's presence. You look to your left and see a figure in a crisp white uniform stepping forward, though their face is hidden behind a reflective visor. You offer a brief nod. No words are exchanged, as the protocol here is to maintain a hushed, calm environment. The medic moves to a small console at the side of the chair and taps on a touchscreen. A panel in front of you slides down, revealing a handheld scanner. Place your right arm through the opening, the medic instructs, in a measured tone that feels neutral yet reassuring. You comply, sliding your arm into the scanner's cavity. A faint warmth envelops your forearm as a low-intensity beam sweeps across your skin. You feel no discomfort, only a gentle vibration as sensors measure your blood oxygen levels and scan for any unusual radiation signatures. A small light on the scanner blinks green, indicating all readings are normal so far. Next, the medic adjusts a second device, a bone density scanner shaped like a loop. Rest your leg here, they say, pointing to a cushioned platform at your knee height. You shift in the chair, and as your thigh rests against the scanner's inner rim, you feel a slight magnetic pulse. The machine hums briefly, then clicks off. A small indicator on the console reads, "Bone density within expected parameters." You exhale, relieved, knowing that Martian gravity's toll on your skeletal system requires regular monitoring. The medic steps back and gestures toward a small clip-like device on the chair's left armrest. "Finger pulse oximeter next," they say. You extend your index finger and slip it into the device. A soft red light glows on your fingertip as the sensor measures your heart rate and oxygen saturation. A moment later, a gentle beep confirms stable vitals, 82 beats per minute and 98% oxygen saturation. Each reading feels like a pat on the back, proof that you're adapting well to life hundreds of millions of kilometers from Earth. The next station involves a quick ultrasound of your abdomen to ensure internal organs remain healthy in low gravity. The medic retrieves a small handheld probe, applies a thin layer of lubrication gel to its surface, and places it gently against your skin just below your rib cage. You feel a cooler sensation where the gel touches you, and then a slight pressure as the probe moves in a slow arc. A soft whirring emerges from the ultrasound machine, scanning your liver, kidneys, and digestive tract. Occasionally you see a flicker of colour on a small screen, an abstract map of your insides. The medic watches intently, nodding once. "All clear," they say. After the ultrasound, you slide off the chair and step onto a circular platform in the centre of the room, the radiation scanner. You stand upright as the medic positions a series of small detectors around you in a semicircle. They activate the device, and you feel a subtle warmth as the platform emits a low-frequency pulse. Each detector clicks softly in sequence, measuring any accumulated cosmic radiation your body has absorbed over the past week. The display on the console reads radiation exposure, 0.03 sieverts, well within safe limits for this soul. You exhale a breath you didn't realise you were holding. Next comes a quick physical flexibility assessment. The medic directs you to a narrow strip of coloured markers on the floor. "Stretch to each marker," they say. You step forward, bending at the waist to touch your toes, then kneel to reach the next marker and finally stand on your tiptoes to extend your arms toward the highest marker. In low gravity, each movement is smooth, almost effortless. The medic watches your range of motion, and makes a note on their console. Mobility remains excellent, they comment. You pause to catch your breath. The neutral dry air here contrasts sharply with the solarium's humid calm. Your skin tingles slightly, as if waking from a deep rest. You feel the weight of the morning's tasks lifting, replaced by a fresh awareness of your body, its strengths, its vulnerabilities. The medic steps aside, gesturing toward a small hydration station and a packet of nutrient gel resting on a tray. Recovery supplements, they say. You take the gel packet and tear it open, squeezing the thick, slightly sweet substance into your mouth. Its taste is a familiar blend of vanilla and protein, comforting and efficient. After downing the packet, you pour cool, filtered water from the station into a small cup and sip slowly, feeling hydration spread through your system. The medic retrieves a slender, transparent vial from a refrigerated slot and hands it to you. Blood sample, routine check, they say. You extend your arm, and a tiny prick on the back of your hand delivers a slender needle into your vein. A small tube fills with dark red fluid as you hold still. You feel a slight pressure, but no real pain. After a minute, the medic removes the needle, and you press a small sterile pad over the insertion point. You secure it with a thin adhesive strip. The medic places the vial into a centrifuge on a nearby counter. A whirring sound begins, separating plasma from red cells. You know the results will confirm your hemoglobin levels, hydration status, and check for any infections. While the centrifuge spins, you move to a low bench along the wall. A narrow window in the door lets you peek out at the corridor. Beyond, you glimpse the approach to the recreation dome just a few steps away. You lean back and exhale, noticing how taut your muscles feel. The medic returns, checking the centrifuge's display. Blood work nominal, no signs of anemia or infection. They slide a small tablet across the bench, an extra calcium supplement to support bone health. You pop the pill into your mouth and swallow with another sip of water. You stand and stretch, feeling a satisfying release of tension in your shoulders and back. Your boots make a soft click as you step off the floor panel. The medic powers down the machines, and the room returns to stillness. You gather your belongings, your wrist display, a small pack of personal wipes and the empty gel packet, and head toward the exit. As you open the door to leave, you catch one last glance at the pristine, bright room. The faint beep of the centrifuge has faded, leaving only the soft hum of air circulation. You step into the corridor, where the temperature is cooler and the lights shift to a gentle green. Ahead, the sign labelled Recreation Dome points you to your next destination. Low-gravity sports and leisure activities designed to keep both mind and body sharp. Pushing open the curved hatch, you enter a vast, open chamber. The dome's ceiling arches high above, composed of layered transparent panels that diffuse the pale Martian light into a soft, ethereal glow. Beneath, the floor is covered in a cushioned, non-slip material designed to absorb impact when residents float or fall. The entire space has a hushed reverence, as though this dome exists to remind you that, even here, play and relaxation are vital. Immediately you notice the subtle pull of low gravity. A single step feels almost like a gentle hop. You take a moment to ground yourself, pressing your feet firmly into the floor. Around you, others are already in motion. To your left, someone bends their knees slightly before pushing off the ground, floating a meter into the air before landing softly. To your right, a small group has formed a loose circle, preparing for a game of float ball, a variation of basketball adapted for Martian gravity. You walk toward the floatball court. The hoops are lower than you would expect on Earth, positioned at about 2 meters high. Instead of a heavy leather ball, a soft inflatable sphere, woven with lightweight polymers, floats almost neutrally in the thin air. 2 players stand at opposite ends of the court, each cradling the ball. As one throws it underhand, the sphere glides slowly across the space, its path curving gently upward before descending. The other player leaps, reaching out to intercept. Their feet barely leave the ground before they lunge, fingertips grazing the ball. For a moment the ball hovers between them as they both drift off balance, and then one guides it into the hoop with a slow, arcing motion. You smile, feeling the energy in the room. On a small ledge nearby, backpacks rest against the wall, each containing a personal hydration pack and a compact set of padded gloves for catch games. You step over to retrieve your own gloves and strap them on, feeling the soft padding around your fingers. Even though the gloves are lightweight, they add just enough resistance to help you control the ball. You squeeze your gloved hand, flexing each finger, and close your eyes for a moment to feel how the gloves wrap your digits. Turning back to the court, you see the ball drifting toward you, having been passed to warm up new participants. You reach out gently, palms open, and catch it as easily as picking up a feather. The ball presses softly against your palm and you secure it in both hands. You take a measured breath, bend your knees and push off the ground. In this moment, you fly upward, slowly, smoothly, until you're about a metre from the floor. Above you the hoop glows under focused lights, and you propel the ball in a gentle arc. Time seems to slow as the sphere drifts toward its target. The net catches it with a soft whoosh, and you descend, feet touching down like a gentle landing. Nearby, 3 people have moved to a different section of the dome, a tethered jump station. Here, elastomeric cables hang from the ceiling, attached to padded harnesses. One resident steps into a harness, straps it around their waist and thighs, and then grips the cables. As they jump, the elastomer stretches, then gently pulls them back, allowing a controlled rebound that lets them leap 2 meters high with minimal effort. You watch as they leap gracefully, legs extended wide for stability, then arc back down and rise again. The rhythm is almost meditative. Up, down, a dance in low gravity. You walk over to the tethered jump station, feeling the softness of the cushioned floor beneath your boots. The harness strap slides over your hips and thighs, locking snugly but comfortably. You raise your arms to grasp the cable, which has a slight tension even before you move. With a single push of your legs, you propel yourself upward. The harness stretches, and you float 2 meters above the ground, arms stretched wide to maintain balance. Gently you descend, the harness guiding your motion so you land with a soft thunk. You rise again, repeating the motion, feeling your muscles engage in ways they don't on Earth. After a few minutes, you unclip from the harness and step away. Your legs feel pleasantly tingly from the repeated lifts, and a bead of sweat slides down your temple. Even though the air feels cooler here than in the solarium, your body warms quickly with movement. You wipe your brow with a personal sports cloth, lightly dampened with water, and then move toward another activity station, low-gravity yoga. A small alcove beside the tethered jump area has soft mats arranged in a semicircle around a holographic instructor's silhouette. You step onto a mat and assume a cross-legged seated position. The instructor's soft voice begins. Inhale deeply. Feel the air fill your lungs. Exhale slowly, grounding yourself on the mat. You follow the cues, noticing how your body feels lighter with each breath. The next posture. Float your knees outward, arms extended to the sides. Feel the gentle pull of gravity on your joints. You comply, feeling your limbs lengthen as they drift outward just slightly. The tension in your joints is minimal, and you can hold each pose longer than on Earth. After several poses, gentle twists, arm extensions and seated stretches, the yoga session ends. You lie back, arms resting at your sides, palms facing up. Your body hovers an inch above the mat, held by the floor's magnetic attachment points in your socks. Your muscles feel stretched and soothed, and your mind drifts into a calm state as your breathing slows to a gentle rhythm. The instructor's silhouette fades, and the overhead lights dim just slightly to a warm amber glow. You rise from the mat, feeling a satisfying stretch through your back. Looking around, you see a few people tossing a lightweight frisbee in another corner of the dome. The toy is made of a thin carbon fibre composite, designed to glide smoothly in the thin air. One resident throws it to another, the disc spiralling slowly but steadily before the other person leaps and catches it near a soft net backdrop. You walk over to join them, strapping on a pair of lightweight wrist guards. The resident across from you holds the frisbee, offers a quick nod, and flings it toward you. You catch it easily, feeling its cool surface against your palm. You return the throw with a gentle push of your arm, and the disc sails in a slow arc. Beyond the frisbee game, a group plays orb pat, a gentle sport where a small spherical drone hovers above a shallow arena. Each participant uses padded sticks to tap the drone toward floating goals. The drone's onboard thrusters shimmy to keep it aloft, and as players tap it, it drifts unpredictably, forcing quick reflexes. You watch as someone gently taps the drone. It jerks forward, then hovers to settle, before another tap sends it spinning toward a glowing ring. You realise that even a few taps send the drone gliding several meters in the low gravity, so every touch must be light and precise. Feeling playful, you approach and pick up one of the padded sticks. A resident offers a quick nod, and you take a steady stance. The drone hovers at waist height, its small lights blinking softly. You gently tap it, and it floats toward a ring suspended on a thin wire. You smile as it passes through the ring with a soft buzz. The resident claps, an easy gesture of approval. You float over to retrieve the drone and stick, noting how every movement is featherlight yet requires conscious control. After rounding the corner, you spot a benches area where some people sit on padded seats, facing a large screen. The display shows a virtual landscape, a simulation of an earth beach with waves lapping at the shore. A soft audio track of seagulls and ocean waves plays through speakers. A resident reclines, eyes closed, using noise-cancelling headphones to immerse entirely in the simulation. You linger for a moment, appreciating how the simulation's warm, sandy hues contrast with the red-brown terrain just beyond the dome's outer wall. Your wrist display chirps softly, a reminder. Your next task is a group debrief in 30 minutes. You realise you've been here almost an hour. Time feels slower in the recreation dome. Low gravity extends every movement, every moment. You take a final deep breath of the slightly humid air, feeling how your lungs welcome the moisture. The smell of sweat, synthetic flooring, and a faint hint of rubber from exercise equipment lingers in the air. You allow yourself one more leisurely glance around the dome. Then you glide across the floor toward the exit hatch, which displays a soft purple light indicating the route to the communications array. The domed wall shifts as you approach, and you step through into a narrow corridor. Glittering through a small porthole, you catch sight of the red desert beyond. The corridor's lights fade to a neutral white, and you feel the transition from playful freedom to the calm necessity of evening reflection. You step into the comlink room, and the lights immediately dim to a soft indigo glow. The door slides shut behind you with a muted whoosh, sealing out the low hum of the recreation dome. The air here feels cooler, almost tinged with recycled electronics, an ever-present reminder that this small space connects you to Earth across hundreds of millions of kilometers. A single padded chair sits before a console bathed in pale blue light. Multiple screens display static icons. One shows a rotating globe of Earth, another indicates signal strength, link quality 72%, and a third lists recent message timestamps. The wall-mounted microphone looks ordinary, but you know its hidden transmitter bounces your voice off orbiters and ground stations to reach home. You settle into the chair, the cushion moulding gently to your form. Your back feels supported, and the low gravity causes a mild lightness in your limbs. On the desk, a sleek headset awaits. Over-ear cups padded with memory foam, a flexible boom microphone, and a thin visor that can display captions or subtitles in your field of vision. You lift it and place it over your head. As the cups seal around your ears, the hum of the colony fades further. The console screen flickers, and the words "incoming video message from Earth" appear. A small chime echoes, and you feel a subtle thrill, knowing someone you love might be on the other end. You tap a foot against the cushion floor, steadying yourself. The screen clears, and a familiar voice begins in uneven but excited tones. Though the face behind the visor is obscured by glare, you recognize the cadence, the slight hesitation between words, a sibling or a close friend sending their greetings. They speak of everyday things: rain on the patio, a neighbour's cat curled in a windowsill, the upcoming harvest of tomatoes in their garden. The trivial details feel priceless. You watch as a garden spade strikes soil, droplets of water glint on green leaves, and distant laughter drifts through their backdrop. Your chest tightens with a mix of joy and longing. Even a simple glimpse of rain makes your throat constrict. As the message ends, you tap the console to send your reply. The screen shifts to recording, and you take a breath. Your voice sounds distant in your ears at first, but as you speak, describing the dusty horizon beyond the tinted window, the glow of Phobos rising in the Martian sky, the hum of the life support systems, you feel a moment of connection dissolve the void of space. You talk about how dinner smells like roasted algae, and vegetable paste is surprisingly comforting, how the low gravity still makes every step feel like a gentle dance, and how you miss the sound of leaves rustling in a summer breeze. You finish with a simple, "I love you," and tap the panel to send. The console chimes again, indicating transmission. You'll never know exactly when the message arrives, but trust in the time delay built into every exchange. The room falls quiet. You lift the headset and place it on a small hanger. A soft click echoes as the visor retracts. You lean forward, pressing a button to review incoming text transcripts. Lines of green text scroll upward. Reports from Mission Control, brief weather updates for Earth's regions, and a short news bulletin about a renewable energy breakthrough. You read about a wind farm in the Midwest, its turbines now generating twice as much power at half the cost. The contrast is surreal. While they harness Earth's breezes, you harness artificial sunlight to coax lettuce from hydroponic trays. Beside the console, a narrow window reveals the red Martian twilight. Through the tinted glass, you see a band of pale orange low on the horizon. Phobos hangs low now, an almost black disk against the sky's gradient. A few dim lights wink from the distant settlement modules, sentinels in the gathering dusk. You lean your forehead against the cool glass, imagining the night on Earth where lights sparkle across continents and oceans ripple under a different moon. The thought stretches across light minutes, reminding you of the vast distance but also of the connection that persists despite it. A gentle beeping interrupts your reverie. The console indicates 10 minutes until shift change. You rise from the chair, muscles slightly reluctant after sitting still. Pressing a fingertip to a wall panel, the lights brighten just enough for you to see your own reflection in the glass. Eyes tired but shimmering with quiet gratitude. You step away from the window and head for the door, the indigo glow giving way to the corridor's neutral white. As you walk down the hallway, the smell of dinner begins to drift through the vents, a faint combination of roasted tuber extract and simmering broth. Your steps are slow but purposeful. Even in the corridor, the low gravity creates a gentle bounce, each footfall mindful not to send you drifting. Ahead, the corridor widens into a softly lit vestibule that leads back to the commons. The muted terracotta walls and curved seating areas feel familiar and welcoming after the intense quiet of the comlink room. You round the corner and catch sight of the commons entrance, a round hatch framed by tinted windows that show the settling dusk outside. The sky beyond is a swollen gradient, bright orange fading into muted mauve as Martian night approaches. Inside, the overhead lights cast a warm glow over curved tables, and a gentle murmur of voices greets you, the lull of evening routines. Stepping into the commons, you see that residents have already begun to gather. Some hover near the serving station, trays in hand, others settle into benches, quietly conversing. The aroma intensifies, a comforting promise of nourishment. You join the line, glancing around at familiar silhouettes, a few people still wearing wrist displays showing their next assignments, some holding small cups of warm tea, others carrying insulated bowls from earlier. No one addresses you by name. Instead, mutual nods and occasional soft hums punctuate the stillness. You reach the serving station and pick up a sealed tray titled Dinner Roast Algae Loaf with Vegetable Stew. A server, more machine than human, hands you a bowl of stew with a soft closing hatch. Steam drifts upward in a thin mist, carrying the scent of simmered tubers and synthesized mushrooms. You add a slice of algae loaf to your tray, noting its faintly salty taste and spongy texture. A small packet of vitamin supplement rests beside it, standard issue at every meal. With your tray secured, you move to an empty seat at a circular table under one of the large windows. Through the glass, you see the Martian night darken. Stars begin to pepper the sky, and the desert beyond the colony's wall recedes into dark outlines. In the far distance, solar arrays glint faintly under the last light of dusk. A small maintenance rover makes its rounds, headlights flickering as it glides across the terrain. You settle onto the curved bench, the cushions conforming to your form. As you lean back, the low gravity tugs gently upward, so you tuck your legs under you to stay grounded. Across the table, someone uncaps a small canister of post-dinner nutrient shake. Recipe, banana mint. Closing their eyes and sipping slowly. The mood here is subdued but content. No boisterous laughter, just soft exhalations and occasional spoon-to-bowl sounds. You bring the spoon of stew to your lips. The flavour is earthy, root vegetables that almost taste like potatoes mixed with a subtle sweetness from hydroponic carrots. The algae loaf is firmer than you expected, providing a chewy contrast. The steam wafts up and warms your face. You close your eyes for a moment, savouring the sensation. As you eat, you glance around the table, noting muted conversations. Someone mentions tomorrow's dust storm predictions, another asks if the greenhouse has enough water reserves, and a third reminds a teammate to charge their rover's battery before midnight. Finishing the stew, you tilt the bowl slightly and drink the remaining broth, careful to tilt slowly so it doesn't float away in droplets. The warmth spreads through you, a small comfort against the growing chill outside. You set the bowl into the return slot built into the table's edge. A subtle mechanical hum signals it has been accepted for cleaning. You pull out the algae loaf and take a final bite, its texture oddly reminiscent of toasted bread. As you place the final crumbs onto the tray, the overhead speaker emits a soft chime. Attention! Phobos will reach zenith in 5 minutes. All external rover missions should return before hazard mat deployment at 1900 hours. You tilt your head toward the window and see Phobos positioned high above, a dark orb against the now tenebrous sky. Around you, heads turn upward. No one speaks, but you feel a collective pause as everyone watches the small moon trace its silent arc. You stand, gathering your tray and stepping away from the table. The benches squeak softly under your weight, or absence of weight, so you anchor yourself by pressing a foot flat against the floor. The corridor beyond leads you toward the outer windows that frame the view of Phobos and the first hint of stars. Each step is a gentle push-off, a controlled drift until your feet catch. You take one last look at the gathering in the commons, a small community united by shared routines, distant voices, and the quiet resilience of life on Mars. You exit the commons and walk down a narrow corridor toward the airlock. The walls here are neutral grey, illuminated by dim amber lights that ease the eye into the approaching darkness. Each step requires care. Push off gently to avoid floating, then catch yourself with a light press of your foot. As you near the airlock door, you hear the subdued click of locking clamps engaging. Ahead, a small glass panel shows the night sky beyond. Pitch black, speckled with distant stars. You step up to the airlock's inner hatch and tap your wrist display to unlock it. The door slides open with a soft hiss, revealing a narrow vestibule. Inside, a second hatch remains closed. You place your palm flat on a biometric sensor by the outer door, and after a brief pause, the panel lights up, indicating it's safe to proceed. The refrigerated suit cabinet stands to your right. You open its insulated door to reveal your EVA suit. White composite shell, reinforced joints, life support backpack, and helmet with a tinted visor. You slip your arms into the sleeves, one at a time, feeling the suit's inner layer conform to your skin. The material is slightly warm. Press snugly against your wrists and ankles with sealing gaskets that prevent any dust or air from escaping. You step fully into the suit, sliding your boots into the moulded foot compartments. The boots clamp snugly around your ankles, their soles ridged to grip the thin soil outside. You buckle the waist harness and secure the chest straps, each click reminding you of the pressure seal forming around your body. Finally, you pick up the helmet and lower it into place. Its visor closes with a gentle hiss, and the heads-up display flickers on. O2 levels, 98%. Suit pressure, 0.7 atmospheres, and external temperature, minus 75 degrees Celsius. Through the visor, you see the interior of the airlock tinted in faint blue-green light. You take a slow breath, listening to the calming hum of oxygen flowing through the suit's breathing apparatus. With everything sealed, you press a button on the wall. The outer hatch opens, and a gust of cold, stale Martian air rushes into the airlock. Tiny dust particles swirl in the low light, illuminated by the helmet's mounted lamp. You step forward carefully, each footfall cushioned against the uneven ground. Outside, the ground slopes gently downward, then levels out into a plain of reddish-brown sand and scattered rocks. The stars above shine with an intensity unseen on Earth, unfiltered by thick atmosphere. The silence is profound. No wind, no distant chatter, only the faint hiss of your own breathing and the soft beep of your suit's status alerts. You walk toward the colony's outer wall, a low barrier of interlocking metal plates coated in protective polymer. The wall's surface is rough and pitted, scarred by years of small micrometeoroid impacts. You grip the top edge with your gloved hand, feeling its cool, rigid texture. Behind the wall, the colony glows faintly. Domed modules and lit tunnels interlocked like a circuit. Ahead of you, the plain stretches to distant ridges that rise abruptly against the night sky. The ridges appear almost black, their shapes defined by the faint light of the stars. Closer to you, the sand is rippled in fine waves, sculpted by ancient, nearly imperceptible breezes. Perched on a small ledge at the base of the wall, you set down a compact scanner. Designed to detect seismic tremors and measure atmospheric particle density, the device emits a soft green glow. You slide a gloved finger across its touch screen, activating continuous monitoring. A low hum begins as the sensors calibrate, measuring dust concentration and wind speed at ground level. The readings flicker, dust density 0.03 grams per cubic meter. Wind 0.5 meters per second from the north. Seismic activity nominal. You nod, satisfied that conditions are currently stable. Reaching into a pocket on your suit's leg, you retrieve a small handheld flashlight. You flip it on, and a narrow beam cuts through the darkness, illuminating the wall's outer face. You move the light across the metal panels, checking for any signs of damage or dust accumulation. In one section, a thin layer of red dust has settled into a seam between plates. You kneel and use a small brush attached to your utility belt to sweep the dust aside, revealing the metal's silvery sheen. You continue down the wall, brushing away what you can and noting any areas needing more thorough cleaning during daylight. With the initial inspection complete, you step back and lean against the wall, looking out across the plain. The sky above is dominated by the immense cratered disk of Phobos, hanging low and nearly motionless. Beneath it, Deimos appears as a small, faint point of light. The contrast between the tiny, dusty hills and the vast firmament fills you with a quiet awe. In the distance, you notice the pair of automated rovers parked side by side, their red beacons glowing softly as they wait for morning dispatch to resume surface surveys. Beyond them, a string of solar panels glimmers faintly in the starlight, their surfaces dusted by today's small storm. You settle into a comfortable stance, anchoring yourself by pressing your heels into the ground. The low gravity means that even a slight push could send you drifting, so you keep your centre of mass low. You lift your visor slightly to reveal a small internal camera, which records the horizon for colony records. The camera's indicator light pulses softly, capturing each star, each dune ripple, each distant outline of a solar panel. You record for 10 minutes, enough to see if any new dust swirls across the plain. Occasionally a faint gust kicks up a small plume, catching in the flashlight beam before dissipating. Your suit's status indicator chimes softly. O2 levels 92%. Battery 62%. Time remaining 1 hour 20 minutes. You glance at your wrist display to confirm, just over an hour left before your shift ends. You tighten the strap on your wrist to adjust the sensor for a quick heart rate check. Heart rate 78 beats per minute. Temperature 36.8 degrees Celsius. Everything remains normal, which is comforting in this solitary vigil. Shifting your stance, you unclip a small notebook from your belt and break the seal. The pages inside are lined with entries from previous nights, dust storm alerts, rover malfunction notes, unusual wind patterns. You flip to a blank section and jot down tonight's observations. Minimal dust drift. Phobos centered, no significant fluctuations. You close the notebook and clip it back in place. A faint noise draws your attention. The soft whir of a nearby maintenance drone. It emerges from a hidden alcove in the wall, its navigation lights blinking blue. The drone hovers near you, then veers off to inspect a section of the solar arrays. You watch its path until its lights fade into the distance, disappearing behind a ridge. The calm hum of its thrusters mingles with the distant echo of your own breathing. You remain at the wall, shifting your weight slightly as the minutes pass, eyes tracing the horizon. Suddenly, a flicker in the distance catches your eye. An errant dust devil, a swirling column of fine particles rising from the plain and twisting toward the sky. You watch as it grows no larger than a metre wide at the base, its upper reaches dissipating in the thin air. It drifts for a few metres, then fades, leaving only a faint trace of movement in the sand. Your display chimes softly. Dust Devil detected, coordinates 120 degrees, east 15 degrees north, logging event. You tap a command to confirm the automatic entry and note the phenomenon. These small events are reminders of Mars's subtle living environment, active though so quiet. As the night deepens, the temperature drops further. You feel a slight chill seep through the suit's insulation, enough to remind you of the void beyond. You activate the suit's heating element by tapping a button on your wrist display. A soft red glow appears in the helmet's inner lining, providing gentle warmth along the back of your neck. The heat feels comforting, a reminder that engineering supports your every moment here. You glance at your wrist again. Time remaining 40 minutes. Soon you'll return to the airlock, shed your suit, and head back to the commons for a light snack before sleep. For now, you allow your mind to drift. Thoughts of family voices, imagined summer breezes, and the soft murmur of rain on a distant earth. You close your eyes behind the visor and breathe slowly, letting the silence envelop you. Finally the suit chimes. Time remaining 10 minutes. You gather your notebook and flashlight, then take one last look at the star-filled sky and the foreign landscapes beneath. The walls of the colony stand behind you, a lifeline of light in the dark. You turn and walk back along the outer barrier, each step measured, feet pressing into the sand to prevent drifting. Reaching the airlock, you tap your palm on the inner hatch sensor. The door slides open, and you step inside, leaving the cold night behind. You peel off your helmet and unzip the suit, letting it slide off your arms and legs like a second skin. As you remove the final glove, the warmth of the station air feels almost immediate, a welcome contrast to the chill outside. You hang your suit in its cabinet and step into the corridor. Soft amber lights guide you toward the commons, where a small tray of warm herbal tea and rehydrated fruit await. The smell of sweet berries and chamomile drifts through the door as you approach. You pick up the tray, savouring the warmth in your hands, and step toward your sleeping pod just a few metres away. You step into your sleeping pod, the warm glow of the commons receding behind you as the sliding hatch closes. The corridor beyond is quiet now, soft amber lights guiding your path to the residential ring. Each step still carries a faint memory of low-gravity float, so you press your foot firmly against the padded floor to steady yourself. At last you arrive at the narrow corridor that leads to your pod. The walls here are pale and curved, illuminated by a gentle white strip light that runs at ankle height. You pause for a moment, listening to the hush, the distant hum of life support, the muted ticking of a clock, and your own breathing slowed by fatigue. You stand before your pod, just large enough for one person, lined with soft padding and fitted with a thin blanket inside. The door slides open smoothly, revealing the cocoon of warmth and safety you crave. Inside, the bed reclines slightly, lifting your head at a gentle angle. You slide inside, feet first, tugging the blanket up to your chest. The mattress is firm but forgiving, designed to support your spine even in low gravity. A small pillow cradles your head, its fabric cool against your skin. As you settle in, you glance at the small control panel on the wall beside the pod. A single button adjusts lighting and sound levels, options for white noise, filtered colony sounds, or complete silence. You tap the button once. The lights dim to a soft, warm glow, and a low rhythmic hum of filtered airflow begins. It's the familiar pulse you've heard every night since arriving. You close your eyes momentarily, letting that hum lull your mind. Through the pod's small porthole, you see the faint outlines of the corridor lights behind you, tinted through the thick, protective glass. Beyond, through another larger window just above eye level, the Martian sky lies dark and star-filled. You spot Phobos near the edge of the frame, a pale, cratered disk against the black. The sight reminds you that even while you rest, the world beyond this pod persists. Planetary orbits winding in silence overhead, red dust shifting unseen. Your breathing slows further as you become aware of each subtle sensation. The slight weight of the blanket on your chest, the gentle pressure of the pillow beneath your head, the soft pulse of air flowing over your skin. A faint temperature drop alerts you to evening's chill seeping through the habitat walls. You press a finger to the small thermostat beside the control panel and raise it by 1 degree, just enough to keep the pod comfortably warm without feeling stifling. Instantly, the air around you warms slightly, and you let out a contented sigh. You turn your head slightly to examine the pod's interior more closely. The walls are a muted white, curved seamlessly into the floor and ceiling. A narrow shelf runs along one side, holding a small water pouch clipped by a magnet and a tightly rolled personal journal. You recall scribbling thoughts in it after your first week on Mars. Sketches of the horizon, brief observations of dust storms, lines about meals and chores. Tonight you leave the journal tucked away. Your thoughts are gentle, drifting towards sleep. As your eyelids grow heavy, you let your head rest back fully on the pillow. The rhythm of ventilation becomes a soft metronome, and you think of how, outside these walls, hydroponic pumps and algae fermenters hum in unison, sustaining life. You recall the taste of herbal tea in the commons, the feel of low-gravity hops in the recreation dome, and the hush of the desert under the night watch where Phobos reigned overhead. Each memory merges into a calm lullaby. Gradually you drift towards sleep. The edges of your vision fade to darkness as your mind surrenders to dreams. In that space between wakefulness and sleep, you imagine yourself walking across a red plain, each step imprinting in the fine dust. You breathe in the thin air through your mask, though here in the dream the suit is optional. The horizon stretches wide, and you see the colony's lights behind you, a distant oasis of white domes and glowing tunnels. Ahead, faint wisps of dust swirl in slow spirals, coaxed by a wind you can't hear. Your body feels weightless, yet grounded, as you wander toward the ridge where a soft dawn is beginning. In your dream, you reach the ridge crest. The sky shifts from pitch black to deep indigo, gradually lightening to pale orange near the horizon. You step forward, feeling a warmth, like early sunlight on your face. But it isn't the Martian sun. It's an imagined Earth sunrise peeking through red haze. You watch as long, mustard-coloured rays stretch across a field of grain. Not the barren sand, you know, but stalks of wheat swaying in a gentle breeze. The sound of wind chimes drifts past, and distant birdsong lifts your spirit. You stand motionless for a moment, savouring a longing you don't even realise you hold. Slowly, The wheat dissolves into tiny red blades of grass, and the colour shifts again. Blades turn to rock, and the breeze becomes a silent Martian draft. You're back on the red plain, but it's sunrise here too. A pale yellow disk peeks over the distant ridge, casting long shadows on dunes of fine sand. A pair of solar panels glint in the morning light. You watch as a maintenance rover trundles by, its wheels leaving shallow tracks that you follow with your eyes. In the dream, you feel the cold creeping down your suit, but there's also a sense of peace, knowing that you belong here in this red world. Somewhere between dream and waking, you sense movement in the habitat, quiet footsteps on the corridor floor. Morning is approaching. A chime from the life support system signals the daily status report. Air pressure nominal, oxygen level stable, temperature holding at a comfortable 21 degrees Celsius. You stir in your pod, eyes fluttering as you leave the depth of sleep. The interior lighting gently brightens, simulating dawn within the pod. Faint ambient sounds seep through. Murmured conversation from the commons preparing for breakfast. The distant beep of a rover docking. The soft pulse of air circulation. Your consciousness grows. You stretch your arms overhead, feeling the slight resistance of the blanket against your wrists. Your feet press into the mattress as you shift to sit up. The pillow folds under you, adjusting to cradle the back of your head. You blink a few times, clearing the last shreds of dream. The porthole beside you shows the dim outline of the corridor. No one waits here, but soon people will come for morning shifts. You swing your legs over the edge of the bed, soles touching the cool floor. Instantly, gravity feels more immediate, just enough to ground you but gentle compared to Earth. You stand, feeling the faint pull in your ankles and knees, reminding you that you're back in waking life. You reach for the water pouch on the shelf, uncapping it and bringing it to your lips. The cool water tastes faintly sweet from mineral additives. You take a long sip, letting the fluid ease any dryness. Turning back, you glance at the control panel. The pod's lighting shifts to a brighter white, and the hum of the systems quiets slightly, preparing you for the day ahead. You step toward the pod's hatch and press a button. The door slides open, revealing the corridor beyond, now bathed in soft morning light. Through the porthole down the hall, you see the commons doors opening soon, with the promise of breakfast drifting in on the rising bustle. Your suit for the day hangs neatly on a hook outside the pod, a jumpsuit with magnetic closures and low-gravity harness. You reach for it, pulling the fabric between your fingers, feeling the familiar texture. As you step into the jumpsuit, you anticipate the routine of the morning. Another meal in the commons, followed by tending crops or checking equipment, the steady cycle that sustains life here. Yet for just a moment you carry the residue of dreams. Wheat fields bathed in earth light, Martian dust swirling like incense, the hush of night transformed into the promise of dawn. Fully dressed, you take one last glance at your pod's interior. The clean lines, the soft padding, the porthole framing the red plains beyond. You reach for your wrist display, checking the time. 6:15, time to report for shift. You close the pod door behind you, and the ambient light dims to corridor level. With a steady step, you move toward the commons, each movement mindful of the gravity that anchors you. As you walk, the hum of life support and distant conversation form a gentle backdrop. Your mind recalls the hush of the desert beyond the wall, the recordings of small dust devils sneaking across the plains, and the memory of a silent vigil under Phobos's watch. You carry those images with you into the morning, each thought a reminder of how far you've come, and how this world, though harsh and red, is now your home. Thank you for joining us on this journey beneath the red sky. May the quiet hum of life support and the whisper of Martian dust carry you into peaceful dreams. Rest well, and good night.